morning, grade 4s. Today we're going to talk just a little bit about temperature. Now we can measure temperature in two different ways, and in Canada we use both of these ways for very different things. The first way is to measure in Celsius, and the second is to measure in Fahrenheit. And I will be honest, I'm not sure if I spelled that correctly because Fahrenheit is one of those tricky words. So let me know if you think I spelled Fahrenheit correctly down below. So Celsius and Fahrenheit are very different ways to measure temperature. Celsius uses water as its reference point, which is why temperatures like freezing of water and boiling of water are really easy to find on a Celsius temperature or Celsius thermometer, because water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and it boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Fahrenheit, on the other end, uses a different measuring scale altogether, and 1 degree in Fahrenheit is a lot smaller than 1 degree in Celsius. So when the temperature looks really low in Celsius, it could be a really big number in Fahrenheit. For example, water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius, but it freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's a very different difference there. Now in Canada, we use Celsius for things like checking the outside temperature. But we also use Fahrenheit for things like baking and cooking. We are a very unique country because in the States, they usually use just Fahrenheit, and in places like Europe, they often use just Celsius. We're one of the only ones that uses both Celsius and Fahrenheit for some weird reason. So now that we've gone over the difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit, we're going to talk about how we read Celsius and Fahrenheit on thermometers. So here's my first thermometer here. I've done a zoom in and I see that I have my temperature on here in the red up to a certain line here, and our job is to figure out what that line is worth. Now in this case, the degrees Celsius or degrees Fahrenheit does not matter too much. It's more about the number that we find. So whether it looks like this or it looks like this, it could be Celsius or Fahrenheit for either one of these questions. So let's go on our scale. We know it has to be more than 10 degrees Celsius because the line's bigger there. But then here's the thing. If we start counting up by ones, that's not going to be an accurate scale, because look what happens when I do that. So let's say if this is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, wait a minute, but that one tells me it's 20 degrees Celsius. So if I'm going up by ones, each of these lines can't be worth just 1 because that doesn't bring me to 20, that only brings me to 15. So sometimes I have to experiment with this stuff a little bit. So if going up by ones didn't work, let's try going up by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, and I should start at 10. So 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Okay, so that brings me up to 20 degrees Celsius. So that means that each of these lines is going up by twos. So in order to find my temperature, I'm going to go up by twos as well. So I'm at 10, 12, 14, 16. So this must be 16 degrees. And now I look for the letter. In this case, it's Celsius. So it's 16 degrees Celsius right there. So sometimes our thermometer is going to go up by a scale of 2. Sometimes it goes up by a different scale than that even. So let's check over here and let's look at our scale. So once again, we have our line. Now this one's going to be a bit tricky because our line sort of comes halfway through our bar, but we will deal with that when we get to it. Let's start by figuring out how much our lines are worth. So if I go up by ones, 51, 52, 53, 54, 70. Nope, that doesn't work. Okay, let's try going up by twos. 52, 54, 56, 58, 60. That's not 70 either, so we can't be going up by twos. And we're just going to keep doing that until we find the right one. So let's go up by threes. 53, 56, 59, 62, 65. Nope, that's not quite it. So let's try going up by fours. 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. So it's going up by fours. There we go. So once we reach the proper number up there, we know what the scale is. So now we need to figure out what our bar is at. So let's count up by that again. So we have 54, 58, 62, and then it's somewhere in between 62 and the next one. So I'm going to start with 62. And it looks as if this bar is falling right in the middle of 62 and the higher number here. So that higher number is 66. So what number is right in between 62 and 66? Well, it's 64. So this is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. There we go. So you look for the number that's in between them to find your accurate answer. I hope that is helpful, grade 4s, as you go into these measurement questions, and have a lovely day.